3 different ratios that helped us solve for some unknown side lengths. Whoa, buddy, I don't know what that is happening there. Sorry. Woo. 3 different ratios that helped us solve for some unknown side lengths. The first ratio was the sine, and in that sine ratio, we took the opposite side from my reference angle, so the one that was across, and we divided it by the hypotenuse. Who remembers what the hypotenuse is? Or where is it located? Across from the 90 degrees. Good. So hypotenuse is always across from the 90. So we use the sine when we're doing the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. The second one was the cosine, which we used when we did the adjacent divided by hypotenuse. What does adjacent mean? Next to. Very good. So adjacent means you're next to your reference angle, and then hypotenuse again is the side across from the 90. The last one we used was the tangent, and the tangent was when we took the side that was opposite and divided it by the adjacent side. So in other words, we did not need to use the hypotenuse for the tangent problems. So, one way to remember which one to use and which ratio goes with which is this little mnemonic device that's called Sohcahtoa, which it does say next to your little foldable here. But Sohcahtoa looks like this. And there's 2 different ways you can write it. You can write it the way on the top, or you can write it the way at the bottom. I prefer this way at the bottom because it shows you the fractions. And what this word Sohcahtoa does is it keeps the fraction for you so that you remember which piece of the triangle to divide. So the S is your sine. The O and H is opposite over hypotenuse. The C is your cosine. It's adjacent over hypotenuse. And then the T is your tangent. It's opposite over adjacent. So what you're going to notice is at the top of every single paper I do, I write this little kind of mnemonic device, Sohcahtoa, so that I can remember which fraction's which, so I don't have to go back to the foldable every single time. Okay, so it's kind of like your little cheat sheet of what to use and when. So we're going to do some practice problems today where we solve for unknown side lengths and where we solve for the reference angle. So I'm going to do an example of both, and then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to work on the front side of the paper to solve for the unknown side lengths or angle measures. So you grabbed a paper from the back. We're going to work on the front side, which is all the triangles on it. So go ahead and put your name, and today's date is the 23rd. And like I said, right at the top of my paper, so I don't forget, I've got Sohcahtoa. Sohcahtoa. So that I never forget which one goes where. So sine, cosine, tangent, and it gives me the pieces for my ratio. Okay, so for each problem, we're either going to find the unknown angles or the side lengths using one of those 3 ratios. We're going to round our answers to the nearest tenth, which means 1 decimal place. Okay. So in numbers 1 through 5, I'm asking you to find a side length, AB. So in number 1, it says find AB. So I'm going to come over to my picture, and I'm going to label AB as the side I'm trying to find. So I'm going to put an X there because that's what I'm going to try to solve for. Okay, so as soon as you're trying to figure something out, put an X there so you can figure out what it is. Now, I need to start by figuring out what's my reference angle. So which angle am I looking at in this picture? What's the only angle given to me? 23 degrees. So I'd like you to either highlight or circle or color in or do something to your reference angle. That's important. Reference angle. Now, the two pieces that are given to you are going to be the two pieces that I use to write my fraction. So since I'm given an x and a 15, I need to use those two numbers to write my fraction. And I need to label these two pieces as either hypotenuse, adjacent, or opposite. So if you're looking at those two pieces right now, are either one of those your hypotenuse? Or do you see your hypotenuse with a number next to it? Yes, no, maybe so. Anyone, it's a question. Where's your hypotenuse located? Across from the 90. So if I go across from the 90, what's there? 15. Okay, so the 15 is your hypotenuse. Mark it. Hypotenuse. Okay, now, in regards to the reference angle, if I'm standing here and looking at this reference angle from this point, here's my x over here. Is my x opposite or adjacent to the 23? So is it across or next to the 23? It's across. So because it's across, this is my opposite side. Okay, are we good there? Now, because these are the only two pieces I'm given, they are the opposite and the hypotenuse. I come up to my little mnemonic device here and I say, okay, which one of these three uses the opposite and the hypotenuse? The so, the S. And what does the S stand for? The sine. So we're going to use the sine ratio. So when I go to use my calculator, I have to use the one that says SIN. Okay, that's how you know which one to use. You're using the information given to you. Okay, so the sine. Remember, we're going to use the first three letters. The sine of your reference angle. What's your angle? 23. So the sine of 23 equals opposite over hypotenuse. What divided by what? X divided by 15. Good. The opposite over the hypotenuse. X over 15. Whew. And now it's an algebra problem. I don't know that I told this class this, but an easy way to do this problem right here is you can do cross multiplication. Right? If I wanted to do cross multiplication, what do I put under the sine of 23? Let's pretend that word sine wasn't there. What would I put under it? A 1. And then I can cross multiply. It's a really easy way for you to do it. So let's cross multiply or multiply diagonally. What is 15 times the sine of 23? It's 15 times the sine of 23, right? I don't do anything with it. I'm going to put it in my calculator, but for now I'm just going to write it out. Equals, what's x times 1? X. Great. So now all I have to do is put this in my calculator, and my calculator will do the rest of the work for me. Now, when you put it in your calculator, who remembers how to do it? Remember, there's a funky order you got to do. Trey, what is it? Beautiful. So 15, remember when we're putting in our calculator, we got to put it kind of backwards. So everybody grab your calculator. 15 times 23 sine, And then you have to push equals. 5.86. Did anybody not get 5.86? Tell me now so I can help you. Anybody not get it? It's okay if you didn't. I need to know now, though. So it's 15 times, thank you, 23 sine equals, right? So it's kind of backwards. Now, it says to round to the nearest tenth, so what should I really round this to? Oh, that's a whole number. That's not a tenth. Tenth is 1 decimal place. 5.9. Very good. So 1 decimal place means I look at the number after the 8. So 5.8, this number is bigger than a 5, so it jumps up to 5.9. Okay, questions? Yes. Yeah. Questions on that problem? We feel okay? Feeling all right? All right, then we're going to jump. I'm going to do 4 and 6, okay? And then I'll let you do the other ones on your own. All right, number 4. Same thing. We're going to start by highlighting our reference angle. What's your reference angle for number 4? 19. So highlight it, circle it, do something to it. Notice everything's always the same here, the order. Now, JL is what I'm trying to find. So find JL and put an X over there. Now we got to label our sides. I'm always going to start with my hypotenuse. What's your hypotenuse in this picture? It's the X. Good, it's right across from the 90. So this one's my hypotenuse. Good. Now, the other number given to you is the 12. Is this 12 adjacent, next to, or across from the 19? It's adjacent. Good. So I'm using the hypotenuse and the adjacent. Which one am I going to choose? Hypotenuse and adjacent. Good. The cosine. Beautiful. So I'm going to take the cosine. Okay, who can set up this equation for me? Who wants to give it a try? Cosine what? Anyone. It's not going to be me, so someone's going to have to do it.
Cosine 19.
Cosine of 19 equals 12 over x. Good. Adjacent over hypotenuse. Yay, beautiful. And now we're just cross multiplying to help us solve for x. So what am I going to put under the 19? A 1. And let's cross multiply. What is x times the cosine of 19? Guess what? It's just x times the cosine of 19. What is 1 times 12? 12. Good. How do I get the x by itself now? By what? By what? Ooh, not quite. Not just 19. So I want to get rid of everything that's not the x. So what's everything on this side that's not the x? Cosine of 19. I have to divide by the whole thing. If I just divide by 19, then I'm still left with cosine. And then I haven't finished the problem. So I have to divide by the cosine of 19. And whatever I do on one side, I do on the other. Because on the left, they'll cancel out. You're just left with an x. Now I just put this into my calculator. Who remembers how to put this into your calculator? Trey, tell it to us. Good. 12 divided by 19 cosine equals. Everybody do it. Let's see if we get the same number. All right, who can give me the number they got? What is it, Bubba? 12.1? Give me around it. 12.7. Bobo, try it again. You should get 12.69144817. Which rounded gives me 12.7. Yeah. Raise your hand if you didn't get that number. We all got that number? Okay, 12.7. All right, I'm going to do one more with you. And then you're going to do the rest on your own. I'm going to do number 6 with you right underneath. Now, what's different about number 6? Trey? I don't have a what? I don't have my reference angle this time. Very nice. So I'm asking you this time to solve for a reference angle. All right, let's highlight our angle Q. That's our reference angle. Highlight it. Even though we don't know it, still highlight it or circle it or something. Okay, now we're going to label the two sides that are given to me. Which one of those, or is one of those your hypotenuse? Yeah, which one? The 45.7. Good. So this one is your hypotenuse. Okay. And then is your 30 opposite or adjacent to this pink angle? It's adjacent. It's right next to. So I've got a hypotenuse and an adjacent side. Which one am I going to use? Hypotenuse and adjacent. H and A. Which one is it? Yeah, cosine. It's A and H, but yeah, I'm using those two letters, so I'm going to use the cosine. Okay, so I know I'm going to use cosine. So when I go to write it, I put cosine of, now I got a problem, right? Because before we put cosine of our number, right? I don't know what mine is, so I'm just going to put cosine of Q, or you can put an X there or something, but I don't know what it is. Cosine of Q, it's unknown. That's the angle I'm trying to figure out, right? That's this one right here. There's no number there. Cosine of Q equals, so cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. What divided by what? 30 over 45.7. Good. Now, because it's an angle measure that I'm trying to find, I'm going to use the inverse button. And remember, the inverse button is the one right above the cosine, right, that has that little -1 right there. So all we're going to do is put this directly into our calculators. We're going to take the inverse of this fraction, and we don't have to do any work. All we have to do is put it into our calculators and it'll do the work for us. Okay, who remembers how to put this into the calculator? Ruh-roh. Okay, so first, everybody do that. Everybody do the fraction first. 30 divided by 45.7. And get a, push equals, get a decimal. You should get 0.65. Are we good there so far? Okay, now, next part, to get this cosine of -1. If you're using this calculator, because it's in yellow, you're going to push shift cosine. If you're using your phone, there's a button at the top on the left that says second. You're going to push the second button and then the cosine with the -1 next to it. Okay, what did you get? 48.9699. Did everybody get that? Did anybody not get that? Good. All right, so since we're rounding to the nearest tenth, what should I round that to? So here's the number. Here's to the 10th place. It's a 9. The number after is a 6. Trey? What? It would just run up to 49. Yep, so this is 49.9. Since this number is bigger than a 5, that means I have to push this one up. Since it's already a 9, I go up to the next number. So it's 49, and it's an angle, so it's what? Degrees. Good. Oops. Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. No, so you have to do the fraction first and then push second cosine. All right. We've done 3 problems. You've got 5 problems to do now. You're working on the front. I'm going to leave my answers up for you. You're going to give the rest of them a try, and then depending on time, we'll either check it at the end of the class or we'll check it tomorrow first thing, okay? So we'll walk around, we'll help you out as you need some help, but you're doing the other problems that are left over. So give them a try. Oh yeah, they're all right there. Cooper